Hi everyone, this is Ryan. I'm editing the podcast. Just want to let you know this episode is recorded in July of 2019, and so the events that we're talking about have already passed, but it still might be fun to listen. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Oh, and I think Stitch is in this one. I don't know.
This episode was brought to you by League of Enchantment, part of the Secret Friends Unite podcast network. If you want to find out information about our group, you can look us up on Twitter at League of Enchantment1, Instagram, League of Enchantment, or our hotline numbers 734-726-4107 or 616-841-5310. Catch us on the web at leagueofenchantment.org, or you can send us an email at leagueofenchantment@gmail.com. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Welcome once again to the League of Enchantment Podcast. I am your host, Shamus Smith, and just so you know, we have launched a Patreon. If any of you would like to jump on and give us a hand with some of our funds for hospital visits and all the other fun stuff we do to help the communities and help people across the United States. We're going to jump into the show. We have two new players this week. We're going to be introducing them. We have Ryan up first and Carol second. Ryan, if you'd like to intro yourself.
Sure. Hi, Shamus. How you doing?
Good. Yourself?
I'm fantastic. Thank you. My name is Ryan, as Shamus just said. I cosplay a few characters with the League. Most of the time I end up as Spider-Man. He's kind of a requested character, but I do Stitch, like Lilo and Stitch. I do the Joker, Kylo Ren, Groot and Rocket Raccoon, a lot of them.
Do you have an Instagram or a Facebook page for your cosplay?
No, I don't. I'm not really into social media, but you can see me in pictures on the League page.
Lots of them.
I'm in a few. Everyone keeps telling me I should make an Instagram or like a social media platform thing for cosplay, and I just haven't done it yet. One of these days.
To be fair, I haven't either.
See, me and Carol, we get it. We're too cool.
Yeah, I get it.
We're too cool for Insta. You know, we just do our own thing. Whatever.
Hashtag too cool.
Too cool for school.
One odd thing about Ryan that he hasn't said is that when he is cosplaying Groot, he's also cosplaying Rocket. It's a puppet. And if I'm not mistaken, you should really explain Stitch as well.
Yeah, so that's a puppet as well. It seems like that's kind of my gimmick, is characters that are also puppets. So yeah, with Rocket, obviously Groot can't talk. He's just, I am Groot all the time. And so I have a Rocket puppet I put together to do all the talking for him, do the translation to the kids, and they really enjoy that, even though he makes fun of them most of the time. Stitch is pretty similar. As a human, I'm just kind of like his Man in Black handler, like from Area 51 or something, and Stitch is in a little containment pod. And he talks to the kids and he gets on their faces, and
And they love it.
I love it. Stitch
very popular.
Very popular.
Very. And then we also have Carol.
Thanks for having me, Shamus.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Like Ryan mentioned, I don't have any internet tags at this time, but maybe I'll break down and do something in the future. I was kind of like a cheerleader of the League of Enchantment. I knew Capital City Wonder Woman beforehand, and basically just like shared word of mouth of what the League was doing. And then I joined as Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers. So works out. It's been a lot of fun.
That's true. We always make the joke that Carol is cosplaying Carol as Carol.
It makes it very easy to respond to children, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
Introduce yourself, you know. You're just you. It's great.
I think my favorite thing is trying to explain, hey, no, really, my name is indeed Carol.
Makes it somewhat confusing at times to those who don't know you, I guess.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, but that's okay.
What other Carols can you cosplay, I wonder?
I'm sure we can come up with some.
We'll think of something by the end of the show.
Sounds good. Go.
Think about Carols, guys. If you're in the audience yelling, I know this Carol, just
really
send it to
message us on Facebook with your Carol cosplays so we can put Carol into Carol cosplays.
And then we can vote on them. There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Refresher, Carol.
Carol, you mentioned you were as you called it, a cheerleader of the league. Can you kind of like expand on that a little bit so people kind of understand where that comes from?
Absolutely. So I would see internet posts that Capital City Wonder Woman, also known as Katie Whittaker, would post. And then I saw the USA Today video of Shamus, you. And I was very fascinated by the work. I loved it. So I was mostly just sharing everything that was posted. And a lot of my friends and family were like, wow, this is incredible. And that's so good that there are people out there doing what they're doing. Like, it's such a blessing. And that's what I mean by that. I was mostly just in the background going, hey, these guys are cool. But that was pretty much it until, I ended up joining thanks to you guys finding me and going, hey, join us. It's fun.
If I remember right, we were standing at a theater and a Captain Marvel wandered in and then started introducing herself, and it kind of went from there.
It was fantastic, and I had contemplated, what would it be like joining the league, and I had contemplated a little bit more after the pre-showing of Captain Marvel when several little girls came running up to me and hugged me, and their dads were like so excited that I was there, but more so the kids. And I was like, oh, this is so cool that they just lit up after seeing me. And I was like, I wonder if that's what it's like for Shamus and Katie Whittaker, and
At times, yeah, it is. One cool thing I noticed with Ryan, we did what was it called? The Kids Day in Grand Rapids, the Kids Expo, I think
Kids
it
Expo,
was.
yes.
Yeah. And I think that was the first time you brought out Stitch.
Yeah.
And before that, you seemed somewhat worried about bringing Stitch, like that people wouldn't recognize. And I'm standing there as Batman, which is most people know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I look over, and here's Ryan with Stitch with like 15 kids. And it was funny watching him because he's entertaining and hanging out with all these kids. Because he's just having an absolute blast. And then, he kind of finishes his thing with them, and the kids kind of wander off to go to the next exhibit. And I can tell he's kind of like needs a break, and he starts to turn like he's going to go into our booth area and realizes there's 8 more kids next to him.
yeah, that was a busy day.
And it just like, it was so funny watching you, and then it just started over, and it was really amazing to watch.
It was all day, man. It was fun. That was a really fun day. I remember one little girl was like, Stitch, you're my spirit animal, and just like gave me I was like, this is awesome. Like you said, Shamus, I was kind of worried that, Lilo and Stitch hasn't been in, the spotlight for a while. I don't know if kids are going to get this, if they're going to be into it. They're going to realize, oh, it's a puppet right away, and not play along. But you're right. It was just like, it was insane. I just had a swarm of children at all times, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was
exhausting, but it was great fun.
Well, yeah, those like kids expo events where there's so many kids that come through. And really, to me, that's like a fun event. I don't look at it as like outreach. We're as a group having fun, interacting with kids and families and parents, and it's just a fun day, And at times the league really needs that. But I really enjoyed watching others interact. It was so fun from that perspective, and watching you, who was worried that no one would recognize Stitch, and then being surrounded by like 20 kids and not being able to turn around. I found that almost to be just as hilarious as, some of them talking about Stitch being their spirit animal. And it was just so utterly amazing to me.
Well, I'm glad you're entertained by me being swarmed by children.
It's great.
Like a tiny zombie horde. I'm glad that was fun for you, Shamus.
But I loved it, and I'm looking forward to the next time you're swarmed by 3 to 4 foot tall zombie children. So
they're wonderful.
And like Carol, I tend to watch everybody in the group. It's kind of my thing. It's how I ask new people to join, as I pay attention to their interaction. And when Carol came to the theater for Captain Marvel, watching her interact with the kids, which For those of you who can't see Carol, she claims she's over 5 feet tall, although
Yep.
I'm kind of on the fence about that, even though she says she's been measured, but I don't believe it. I think she
You're
was
going to
standing on a
need
box
photographic evidence,
Yeah.
clearly.
Watching her light up, to me, that's always something kind of magical within the league, is when somebody new has that moment with those kids or with that adult or whomever it is, and you can see them light up. It's almost like a new drug or an addiction, or but in a positive way, obviously. And you can tell that if you said, hey, do you want to go do this tomorrow, they'd be all over it. It would be just an amazing thing. Going from that, Carol, you were just recently at what looked like a large event. I think Ryan was there as well, the
Yes.
MSU Grandparents Night.
It is. So, giving a brief explanation as to what the event was, Michigan State has an event every year. It's like a 3-day summer camp where grandparents can bring their grandkids to MSU for classes and a bunch of activities, and it usually has 1,300 people, and this year they had over 1,300 guests. And Ryan was Stitch and I was Captain Marvel, and it was a blast. Everyone was swarming Stitch, of course, and everyone wanted to talk about superheroes and be like, where's Spider-Man? Hey, he's saving New York right now, sorry. And it was so awesome seeing everybody light up when we came into the rooms or danced with them or joined them in pictures with Sparty. It was very empowering to see that. Just the camaraderie that wherever we walked on campus, there was so much love and joy.
Yeah, I mean, you spoke of the dancing. I gotta say, it was extremely hot yesterday.
Very hot.
We were indoors with no air conditioning, and it was Michigan summer, so pretty humid. But Carol, every time there was a new song on, she'd get out there with those grandmas, and it was insane. She was cutting a rug. I was like, how are you doing this? I'm sweating like crazy. I have this stuffed animal on my arm, and I'm just dripping, and you're just out there in this full fake leather suit, doing the hokey pokey with children. It was amazing. So
skills.
To that, I doff my hat to you. That was quite impressive.
Well, thank you.
Speaking of Shamus, watching people interact, that's what I enjoyed watching last night. Was just seeing, I don't know where she was getting it from, but maybe just you kind of get like that at these events, right? You kind of feed off the energy of the kids and the event and everything, and you kind of say, I'm sore, I'm sweaty, I feel disgusting, but you know what? These kids are feeding me some energy. I gotta get out there, and I gotta meet them at their level. And so I feel like that's where Carol was, and
absolutely
stood in front of the fan a lot afterwards, but a lot of water breaks, but we had a lot of fun. It was great. It was really enjoyable.
Alright, hi! Stitch here!
Captain Marvel here!
We're at the Grandparents' Day!
That strange grandparents event at MSU honoring all of our special sprayed grandparents. Go green, go white!
Wow, you practiced that, huh?
Maybe once or twice.
Okay. They're doing the hokey pokey right now? A lot of boogieing grandmas.
Yes, these grandmas know how to teach everybody how to move it on this floor.
Maybe we should talk to some of them.
We should!
Okay, cool.
I'm Captain Marvel.
Hi!
And this is Hi!
Are you a grandma?
Yes!
How old are you?
80? 100! You need to teach us your skincare tips. Oh, I use toilet water.
Toilet water?
I would have thought. That's why you look so useful. Nobody wants to use that.
I do.
Well,
I look
maybe-
beautiful.
Yeah. Hi, Sketch.
Hi, how are you? Are you a grandma?
No.
Oh, okay.
Have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Are you a grandma?
No.
No?
No.
I think she's a cat.
Nice to meet you. I'm Carol.
Nice to meet you. Are you warm enough?
Oh, just too warm. Too much.
She's very comfortable.
I bet she is.
Yes.
I'm clearly freezing right now. Oh, God. There's -5 in here. Wow.
She's used to the vacuum of space. Nice. She flies around, yeah. Yeah.
I know Carol had gone to another event recently, which was actually the first time this event had occurred. It was the Walk for Wishes, but it's in Traverse City. I know they just started this year. For those of you listening, the League has been confirmed as a Make-A-Wish community partner. Part of our confirmation is that we are the cosplay group for them in the state of Michigan, which means we go to the Walk for Wishes and Detroit Zoo, over to Grand Rapids, and up to Traverse City now. And we are the group that brings the superheroes and the princesses and the villains and any other recognizable character like Stitch, who I'm not sure where Stitch falls, might be a princess.
He's a princess. He's a princess.
That's just a
That
princess.
means we're sent to these different locations across the state to interact with the Make-A-Wish kids, the families. And it's an amazing project. We have a lot of fun. And to us, it was a major stepping stone in what we wanted to do to get that confirmation. And I know Carol was there, and from what it looked like, she had a blast. And I think there was 3 others or 4 others with you.
I believe there was a total of 4 of us there from the League of Enchantment, and it was a wonderful turnout. So the people running the Traverse City Walk, which was their first walk, had, I believe they told me, 3 months to get everything ready, and they had approximately like 300 people show up, and they were able to raise $43,000 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and that was, blew my mind. And it was so cool seeing not just like the families that are with Make-A-Wish, but all the volunteers, all the donors. They were very enthusiastic about us being there, especially Batman. Batman was very popular, as always.
Just to clarify, that was not me. That was another League member named Grant, who actually filled that Batman role. I was actually, I had to take care of some other stuff that weekend. But Grant and I had talked before, and he really wanted to do it. And I was, it's great to be able to share that with somebody.
It was fantastic, and it was also really nice to have a Princess Merida there, because there were some little girls that absolutely loved Merida and were so happy to see her. And we had Wonder Woman, and I had seen so many, not just kids, but adults flock her. It was fantastic. And just talking to us and seeing what we did, they lit up when they told, when we explained to them what we do, and they wanted us to come back again. They want us to do more. It was a blessing of an event.
I think as the League has expanded, we need to actually start looking for people in Northern Michigan to help out with some of these events, because we get so spread out, we can't be at everything.
Right.
And some of the stuff is so needed that people don't realize. Walk for Wishes is one, Children's Miracle Network, and then a lot of our other stuff, like filming videos for hospice, our hospital visits, which I know Ryan's been on, I think 1.
I've been on 3 now.
3? Okay.
Yep.
I don't think Carol's been on 1 yet, but I think she might be on 1 coming up soon.
To be continued. We'll see.
You should.
Right. Another recent event that Carol and Ryan weren't able to make it to, I was at Ann Arbor Comic Arts Fest, and I touched on this a little bit in the last podcast.
I was there on Saturday.
Were you?
I was teaching, remember?
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's right. Ryan was teaching. I'm sorry I didn't recognize him. He was dressed as somebody he didn't even mention, which is Doctor Strange.
I was Doctor Strange.
Oh my goodness.
That's why. Awesome. It's right. Ryan was teaching downstairs with a couple of other League members. I was supposed to actually get there late, and I ended up there early. I was at Children's Miracle Network at the zoo that day, and I was able to get out early enough and get there. We were in charge of building kind of like a craft cosplay for kids, but also interacting with artists and creators and writers, and it was a pretty awesome event to me, just in the way it was approached. Ryan, if you'd like to share what you guys had done in the room with the crafting.
Sure, yeah. We were put in charge to do some kind of hands-on workshop with the kids, and so myself and Candy, who was playing Belle that day, we taught a lesson about how to make foam cosplay bracers or gauntlets or crowns or sometimes shields. Some kids took the gauntlet pattern, made into a shield or whatever. But either way, it was hectic. It was fun. I think we had 78 kids in there, all told. I think that's what our handler told us.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
It was fun. A lot of movement, a lot of moving parts that day. A lot of happy faces. A lot of kids just came in with their parents or with their younger siblings, and we went through a lot of foam. Shamus was there. He's helping us trace extra templates. A lot of supplies.
Yeah, there was paint flying everywhere. And
yeah, it was a mess. Yeah.
Markers, there was foam, lots of glue, lots of Gorilla Glue.
A lot of Gorilla Glue, which was maybe not the best choice of glue.
Yeah, I thought they would have done something else, but
Shamus brought a nice apron for me to wear that said, what was it? It was about my salsa, right?
No, something about your jalapeno fries.
My jalapeno fries, that's what it was. So I was Dr. Strange wearing a jalapeno fries apron.
That's right.
The kids called me Mr. Dr. Strange to get my attention.
That's wonderful.
Right. Mr.
Dr. Strange, can you help me with this? I'm like, of course I can.
And you ended up with a giant name tag that said Mr. Doctor on it.
I did. I made that at time.
That's right.
Yeah,
you did your own craft for yourself.
It was a very fun day. And then you came back the next day, right, Shamus? Like on the Sunday?
Yeah, actually I did. I came back Sunday. I had to do an interview, which hopefully will get tagged into this segment, with Dan Mishkin, and I also did it with a comic book artist who had written a book called Our Super Mom, which is really written for the probably middle school level, but it's really a cool book. It's got a lot of things that aren't something you'd normally see in a comic book, because it shows the home life of a superhero as well. So it's really cool, and it's really different, and it's kind of fun, and I was really surprised at it. So I did a quick interview with him. Hello, we are here at Ann Arbor Comics Fest with artist and author Scott Bachman with his comic book series, Our Supermom. Scott, could you describe a little bit about Our Supermom for us?
Female superhero that retired from being a superhero to raise her kids. The way I came up with the idea is when I decided I wanted to do a female superhero story, I went with what would be different in a female comic that a male superhero would never face. And there's always the classic Spider-Man takes off the costume, I'm never going to be a Spider-Man again, it's horrible, throws it in trash, and next day he picks it back up because you can never quit being a hero. However, anytime a woman decides that she's going to have a child, she has to decide what's going on with my career. How am I going to adjust? How am I going to cope with these things? And if I have a choice between my kids and being a hero and putting them in danger, what would she do? And that instantly is where I came up with the idea for the series, because there's so much conflict in that, but it's personal conflict. And I started the series by saying she decided after being a hero for 10 years, she's hanging up the cape and going to go raise her family. Something happens down the road, that's fine, but she's focusing on the family. Right. And she's happily married. Nobody's dead in the comic. And she's fully dressed. So I've already broke every Disney rule, and I've broken every Marvel rule and DC rule.
True.
There's no tragic backstories. But you can still tell stories because life doesn't end in marriage. I love the concepts of when you bring superheroes into the real world, what would it be really like?
Right.
I love just thinking up the simple things of like, all right, how do I do laundry? Well, if I can fly, I'm not going to go walk around the house carrying laundry.
True.
And if you go super fast carrying laundry, it goes flying out the basket.
Right.
Why not just float around the house?
Yeah. If you can fly, why not make life easier?
It's fun things like that. That's what I used to like about comics, is when they would take the small moments and let the heroes be people.
Creating the human aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Making it more tangible for everyone else.
It's not just the cape, it's the person under the cape.
Right.
And that's really what it all mattered to me, is the people, not the super heroics. That's the fun part.
I interviewed Dan Mishkin as well. For those of you who don't know, Dan Mishkin was a writer, and still is. He started early on in comics. He'd written Batman, Justice League, Dungeons and Dragons. and Wonder Woman. And some of what he wrote for Wonder Woman was translated onto the big screen. Just kind of a cool thing. And it was cool for me to be able to sit down at a table and talk with Dan, because he's got a lot of cool stories. And the Ann Arbor Comics Art Fest is kind of his baby. He helped build this thing along with two others, one of whom was a librarian. Once we put that segment in, you'll see it's really cool. Dan's got a lot of really amazing things. Hi, we're here with Dan Mishkin at the Ann Arbor Comic Arts Festival for Kids Read Comics. We're introducing Dan Mishkin today, and he's going to talk a little bit about himself and about the festival itself. So, Dan, if you'd like to take it away.
Sure. I'm one of the founders of Kids Read Comics, which is the sponsor of the Ann Arbor Comic Arts Festival. This is our 10th anniversary. We started at the Chelsea District Library 10 years ago in 2009. And we is me. I'm a comic book writer. Used to write superhero comics for DC Comics. Created Blue Devil, Amethyst, Princess of Gemworld. My co-founders are Jersey Drozd, who is a cartoonist and teacher of cartooning. Edith Donnell, who is a librarian in Chelsea, and Dan and Katie Merritt, who own Green Brain Comics in Dearborn. We have found that having the group of us coming at comics from different angles has really been super important in shaping the show that we've got, because we really have these different perspectives. But the one thing that we were really sharing is this passion for getting comics in the hands of kids and getting the tools to make comics in the hands of kids. We started this without realizing it at a time when there was about to be a surge of kids comics. We really didn't know it. For me, coming out of the mostly DC Comics superhero world, where they no longer wanted kids comics because there was no way for them to reach that audience for all sorts of reasons, historical and business and social and otherwise. I was very frustrated by that. I could not convince them to do comics that the 10, 11, 12-year-old reader would be interested in. But my friend Alex Simmons, who's another writer, started Kids Comic-Con in New York, and I went to his first event. And I said, I have got to do something like this. As it turned out, Jersey had been talking with Edith, who had wanted to do some sort of Comic-Con in her library. And we sort of put it all together, and we said, yeah, comics and kids and teens, younger teens, is something that we really feel passionate about. And then as it happened, we were really catching that wave that was building, where you started to see not only the growth of webcomics, but trade publishers, the New York trade publishers, not the DCs and the Marvels, who were looking at original comics, what they call graphic novels, although I prefer the term comics, but original long-form comic books that were very often aimed at younger readers. That has been happening over these last 10 years, where these publishers are seeing the value of comics at the same time younger creators, and younger than me. I'm 66 years old. I started in comics. I'm shocked to say I sold my first comic book script 40 years ago this month. Yeah.
A few years ago.
A little while ago. But younger creators who saw, who some of them loved the superhero comics, but they saw another avenue. And I think the rise of manga made some of the publishers take notice. Mm-hmm. But they did not necessarily go the manga route. They said, this is something that there's a hunger for. And so that's what we were sensing. That was the need we were trying to fill in creating this show. We work with the library to talk about how it's all going to be set up. They have the money to bring in some of the, the big name guests.
Right.
Although it's really important to us that we have bestsellers like Raina, and also we have 10-year-olds tendering on our show. I think the youngest we've ever had was an 8-year-old set up to sell stapled together photocopied comics at our show. And one of the things that's great about comics is that people who do comics really see each other as peers. So it means the kid and the adult, the big name and the kid who's just figuring it out, can talk really on the same level and talk in the same language. And then all of them can talk to the people who come to the show, which is totally free. We don't charge guests. That has really taken hold, and I'm just thrilled to be here at our 10th anniversary.
I know also this week, Carol came into the league office, as we call it, for what we call the gala meeting, which the gala is an upcoming event in November, which were you there this last year, Carol?
Yes,
Yeah,
I was there.
I can't remember who all was there because it was kind of a blur. I kept getting put on stage and off stage, and then somebody threw a pie at Katie, and it was just it was chaos.
And everybody had a good time.
That's right. And actually, I had to introduce Danielle Lang that evening, who had avoided getting a pie when we'd hit a certain goal on our Facebook, and so I brought a pie, and then I found out I wasn't supposed to pie her because they'd had the carpets cleaned recently, and then she decided to take it upon herself to shove her own face into the pie, which then got picked up by somebody else and thrown, and it just came a debacle, and there was pie all over the place, and it was like, oh, well, we cleaned the carpet, it's too late now. Anyway, basically the gala meeting was a kind of a start of the prep for the gala, which is a giant fundraiser we have, but it's also a cool night out where we get to share stories about the league and things that we've done and where we've come in the last year. But we also usually bring one or two of our other league members up who are not on the board to talk about something. But Carol got to sit in the room and help fold things. She's amazing at folding, we found out, and putting things into envelopes.
I love to do those things.
That's true. But Carol also got to meet some of the other kind of like behind the scenes people in the league, and I thought that was kind of cool.
It was so cool.
What was your feeling of the whole kind of the gala feel, Carol?
Meeting the other people that were there helping in the office, there was a strong sense of camaraderie, and that was nice to be a part of. And I'm really excited about the gala because it's such a cool fundraiser for the league to help us help others. And it's a fun, fancy night out, and I'm really excited about it and being able to work with the other people on the gala. It has been great.
Yeah, just so you know, the league does have some behind the scenes people. They're not interested in putting on a suit, but they want to help. And so we have like Mary. Mary's amazing at writing documents and helping with filing and kind of helping us keep ourselves organized, which can be very,
she's such
very,
a sweetheart.
Yes, she is. She's a great lady. She's shown interest in the possibility of suiting up at some point, but she's just not comfortable yet with it, which is fine. Not everybody is, because once you suit up, as you both know, you kind of become the center, and it can be overwhelming for some people. With that, we have upcoming adventures as well, as the league has, as you both know, quite a few events, quite a few suit-ups, as we call them. In the next, literally within the next 2 weeks, we have, I think, about 10 different events and movie openers and other things coming up. A couple of things I wanted to touch on was the Spider-Man opener, the YMCA, and then I wanted to talk a little bit about Put on the Cape. But first, the Spider-Man opener. I know Ryan was there at the last opener we did at the Phoenix Theater. I mean, he can explain about how he got dragged into a theater as a tree.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we had a film crew with us, and then we also had the kind of the theater manager saying, hey, go in the theater. They're going to tell us, they're going to give all the rules about, like, you keep your cell phones off, scooch it all together and everything. But they pulled me in a few times. They pulled Shamus in as Iron Man a few times. So it was fun to go into the theater and yell at people as Rocket, be like, put away your cell phones. This is a 3-hour movie. God, you can skip your calls for a few minutes. And they just making fun of people. It was really fun. I guess put that on film too, so I think you can see some of that on our Facebook page.
Yeah, there is. There's an interview on our Facebook and on the YouTube channel actually with it, which shows Ryan actually yelling at a couple people, and I think at one point Rocket actually steals somebody's popcorn, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, they offered.
Oh my goodness.
He offered.
Yeah.
Take,
Yep, and I think weren't you trying to take somebody's watch off their arm too?
I might have been. I tried to Rocket tried to steal a lot of stuff that night.
It's true.
Didn't come away with much, but lots of memories and
That's
video
true.
to prove. Yeah.
I was there as Iron Man. I got dragged into the theaters multiple times. Well, towards the end of the evening, we'd actually met a girl in line, and she was casually cosplaying as Captain Marvel, or Carol Danvers as she was at the time. She had more of kind of the getting ready to jump into the airplane jacket and that stuff on. And she started talking to us. She's actually joined the League since then. Well, I needed to go into the theater, but everybody else that was with us was in cosplay. Our guy doing videography was obviously being pulled away to film what was going on out in the hall. So I walked over and I literally pulled this girl out of line. I mean, Iron Man, pull her out of line. Come with me, you're taking pictures. Got your phone with you? Let's go. She started laughing, didn't really realize what was happening, had to yell at her parents that, hey, Iron Man, actually she kept calling me Mr. Stark, was dragging her into a theater. And so we went in with the manager, and she tried to keep herself collected, which as Iron Man, I tend to do a lot of the one-liners from Tony Stark, or I yell at people, or I pointed out that somebody was playing Bubble Pop on their phone. Kind of the whole Galaga thing that he does in Avengers, and it was really cool. And she actually sent me a lot of very blurry pictures, but it was still a lot of fun. And it was the first time I'd gotten to go into a theater and literally yell at people sitting in seats holding phones.
Yes.
Kind of one of those weird milestones in life that not many people get to conquer, but I guess both Ryan and I got to do that evening, and I just found it was so fun, wasn't it?
It was hilarious. And yeah, shout outs to Melina. Thank you for doing that. Mel,
yes.
for dealing with us that evening, tolerating our shenanigans.
I think she probably enjoyed it more than she would care to admit.
I think she joined after all. I mean, she could have run the other direction, but
I think
it could just be Stockholm syndrome. I don't know.
Day. Yeah, there we go. Stockholm syndrome. Another one of the events we have coming up is the YMCA. I don't think Ryan or Carol has done any of these. I did a couple of them last year. We've already done one this year. They are a lot of fun. A lot of kids. The last one they did, they had 22 kids plus the adults. It's kind of like a day camp. And when I did it last year, we ended up doing obstacle courses with cardboard boxes. We did guess who was, basically it was like, who is the one who's got the answer? And so they would pass around a question and only one person in the circle would have the answer. But you as the character stuck in the middle would have to guess by just paying attention to like facial expressions and such. And that was a lot of difficulty as Batman because he's the greatest detective. So
yeah, right.
I had to be very, very careful what I was doing so I didn't like lose that title. But there was quite a lot of interaction and it was a lot of fun. The kids were a blast and we were indoors, we were outdoors. It's kind of weird walking through next to the swimming pool as Batman and people are swimming, waving at you and yelling Batman and such. But just a blast. I'm sure you're going to love that event. A lot of our members always want to go back to it just because it's so interactive. Hopefully Carol can get away from scraping somebody's teeth at some point to do one of those because I think she'd enjoy it.
I think it would be a good time.
One we do have coming up soon, which will be in the beginning of September, is called Put on the Cape. Put on the Cape is a program started out of Arizona by a man named Sean Reevey. Sean is a special detective, and he deals with kids who have been through physical and sexual trauma. He's got a horrible, horrible day job to deal with having to see and talk to and learn about that stuff on a daily basis. To me would be hard. He realized that there was a missing niche when he was interviewing a boy. And the boy didn't want to talk to him until Sean brought up the newest Spider-Man movie. Now, this was a few years ago, so it wasn't the current Spider-Man we have. It was pre him. But at that point, the boy, instead of being curled up and staring at his feet, looked up at Sean and started talking about Spider-Man. And they discussed Spider-Man for 15, 20 minutes, and then he kind of segued a little bit into throwing some other questions in there. And the boy opened up and talked about what had happened to him. And because of using superhero mythology, he realized he could connect with kids. And he walked out of the room and he went to his boss and he explained what happened. And he was super excited about it. And the next thing he knew, he was buying t-shirts and getting action figures and using superhero mythology to connect with kids. Fast forward 2 years later, he's gotten a group together in Arizona called Heroes Alliance, which is fronted by a man named Gus Matos. And Gus is Captain America down there. Gus's group is similar to the League in that they were doing community events and hospital visits and such. Signed on with Sean to do Put on the Cape. And Put on the Cape became their fundraiser to raise funds, to collect toys, to collect t-shirts, to collect stuff for these kids. They were able to completely fill an advocacy center in what he calls the Valley, which is by Phoenix, in the first year. And so he decided we're going to help other advocacy centers. And I think he's up to 5 now, taking care of all of their needs for these kids with action figures and clothing and just empowering them so that they have something tangible to grow from. We're bringing this project to Michigan now, which both of you two are going to be involved in at some point or another. Starting in September, we'll be doing the first one in Houghton Lake. We're in talks to do possibly 3 or 4 as it grows. The Houghton Lake one has already grown. We already have some sponsors online. We already have media who are willing to give us a large presence there. We have a Family Dollar building that we're going to be using, which is right next to a school. The school is going to be hosting a superhero fun run. Then there'll be, food vendors, and there's ice cream place in town that's literally bringing tons of superhero ice cream. So we can throw Carol into a bucket of Captain Marvel, and
sounds fun.
Yes, it'll be. I probably it's either mostly red, white, and blue with some yellow in it, or it's green, so it'll look kind of like moss, but it should be interesting. But to me, it's what the League was founded on, was to help these kids to go to the hospitals, to go to hospice, and I know for both of you, that's kids are near and dear to everybody's heart in the League, but watching your interaction with all these kids lately has shown that there's more to the League than just putting on a suit.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We have upcoming events other than that as well, but where do you guys see the future of this, or where, from your personal aspects?
With how much the League has grown, I would love to see them be able to reach more in Michigan, not just in more events, but more locations. Because we just did the Walk for Wishes in northern Michigan. That was awesome. And being able to have people up there would be great, because there are so many opportunities to reach out elsewhere. And being able to do not just like the hospital visits and hospice, but like that Put on the Cape event, I think this is an amazing opportunity to reach out and say, look, we're not just people dressing up in a costume. It's about making an impact, not just on kids, but the community as a whole. And being able to pour back into the community is a part of the League. I would love to be able to see, more events where we can go for various types of things. So there's cancer events, but being able to reach out for something even smaller, like the Sturge Weber Foundation. I'd love to be able to see branching out more.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Honestly, yeah, because as we're getting bigger and bigger, and like more events we do, afterwards during the events, people come up and be like, so you guys are just like this group that just does like charity events and stuff. I'm like, yeah, and it seems like everyone knows somebody who's like, oh, I gotta let them know about this. They run this organization, they do this event every year. They'd love to have some superheroes out. The kids would love it, and so I think the more the word gets out and the more it spreads around, the more kind of that kind of stuff we're going to be able to do. And the cons and the movie stuff is fun, but I think the real focus of the League has always been like the kids who need it the most. And right. I hope that's kind of where the focus continues to go. And it seems like that's where it's going, in the near future anyway.
I know when events come in, we kind of have a criteria, as it were. Hospital visits always take first priority. From there, you go to the groups that help kids and families, kind of like American Cancer Society, breast cancer, cystic fibrosis, Children's Miracle Network, Make-A-Wish. Those are like our number 2 for everything, below a hospital visit. The hospital visits are really what this thing was founded on. And that's, going to the hospital and giving that child that 5 minutes of relief. And with the growth of the league, we consistently have to look at more members, obviously. Because like Carol said, we'd like to do some of these smaller events to help the small groups that are kind of a niche impact, but you have to have the membership to get to all those as well. And so our growth rate, which we're right at 80 members right now, we'll actually need more help. So if we want to do Walk for Wishes in Traverse City next year, instead of having 4 people drive up from Michigan, it'd be nice to have 4 people up there already so that we have 8 showing up. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. More the merrier.
Having a large cast and crew is always a fantastic idea, because then you have not just maybe, Wonder Woman over here, but even just having like princesses over here and being swarmed by all those people. I love that idea. Just being able to expand more and get like a great crew of people at, not just the big events, but even the small events. I love it.
I know I've gone to pretty much every event under the sun. I did, sadly enough, 71 events in my first year, which
wow, dang.
Yeah, my wife will probably forever not let me forget about that. Done. I'm an overachiever, I guess. But I got to interact with so many different groups and different people that it really made an impact on me in where this group could go and what it could do, and changing the face of community. So everybody just thinks about community at times as the people picking up trash on the side of the road, or a couple outreach groups, or that festival that they have in the park every year. But community can be so much more, and so much more engaging. And whether it's we dressing up as superheroes or princesses, or we're making a child smile, or we're just creating an impact. I love everything we've done, but I really think that we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. I think there's so much more we could do.
Absolutely.
We got a good start, though. We're on the right track.
Yes. Well, do you guys have anything else you want to touch on before we close off?
I have another Carol you could cosplay.
Oh, there we go. We already have a Carol coming in. What do we got?
All right. So you wear like an 80s little kid nightgown, and you carry around a TV that's turned to static, and you go, "They're here." And you're Carol Ann from The Exorcist, and that's your cosplay. And all the kids are going to love it. And they're going to know exactly what it is.
Sorry, I'm sorry I have to jump in. That would be the Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, thank you very much. Sorry.
What I say? It's Exorcist, I meant Poltergeist. Sorry.
Can't we have her standing in the TV?
I mean, small enough I could.
There you go. Yeah, we hollow out one of those big old tube TVs.
Right.
Inside.
It's got wheels.
Poltergeist, baby. Yeah.
Sounds like something that would
stand into it.
Sounds like something that would scare kids. It'd be good for maybe like Halloween.
I don't know.
I'd be too scared of myself.
That would be perfect at a convention, though. We can just wheel you down the hall inside of a giant TV, and you can just be, holding a blanket over your shoulder with a teddy bear,
Yeah,
and you can say, "Oh, she's like this normal, day to day. This is just what she looks like. This is Carol outside of work."
So somehow we'll have to get you to not smile, though, because I think that would really ruin it.
Oh, details.
Yeah. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it, okay? It's just an idea. We don't have to do it. I just threw it out there.
That's right.
I've been thinking about it the whole time, and it just came to me. So.
Well, we could always throw her in a Carol Burnett outfit, but I don't think she would too well with that. But it's always worth a shot.
You could get a Brady Bunch group together. Get Carol Brady.
There we go.
Oh my goodness! Vote for the Carol and donate money to the League of Enchantment, and I'll totally do it. There we go.
The more money you get to Patreon, the more likely she'll dress up as one of these Carols. So
yes,
is that something you want to see? Do you want to see Carol dressed as another Carol?
Yes.
Give us your money.
Donate to the League of Enchantment, and Carol will dress up as a Carol who gets the most votes. We'll have to make something.
We can put it on our Facebook page and have people add ideas to it and then vote on it.
Vote with your dollars.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to close out this, guys. I want to remind all of our listeners that we are out there. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our hotline numbers. Also our Patreon that we've mentioned a few times at passing here in the podcast. Please take a look at it. We'll be adding more stuff to it, so the levels will get even cooler. You can check us out on the web at leagueofenchantment.org, or if you need to send us an email, leagueofenchantment@gmail.com. This has been Shamus Smith for the League of Enchantment with my co-hosts this week, Carol and Ryan. Thank you both for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime. Invite us back on.
And remember, everyone, that we can all be the hero that someone sees today.